Today, we're going to talk about giving. But not just, giving a few bucks to charity. We're going way, way back to some ancient tales that really push the limits on what it means to be generous. We're talking about lessons on sacrifice from a Buddhist text that's almost 2,000 years old. So yeah, let's just dive right in.
So where are we getting these stories? From this amazing text right here. It's called the六度集經. A bit of a mouthful, I know, but it basically translates to the Sutra of the Collection of the Six Perfections. It was put together way back in the 3rd century. And what it is really is a collection of what are called Jataka tales. These are incredible stories about the Buddha's previous lives, and they're all meant to show the different virtues he had to master on his super long journey to finally becoming enlightened.
And these stories, they all kind of boil down to one central question. And it's a tough one, I'm not going to lie. I really want you to just kind of keep this in the back of your head as we go through this. How far would you really go to save a life?
Okay, so to even begin to wrap our heads around the answers these stories give, we have to understand where they're coming from, the whole philosophical system behind them. It's all about this ancient path, a path to what they call perfection.
And that path, it's laid out by something called the 6 pāramitās, or, the 6 perfections. The easiest way to think about them is like this. They're the 6 core virtues that a bodhisattva, that's someone who's seeking enlightenment, has to practice and perfect over and over again across tons of lifetimes. So you've got generosity, morality, patience, diligence, meditation, and wisdom. Each one is like a gateway you have to pass through to get to that ultimate goal.
Today, though, we're going to zero in on just one, the very first one, which is arguably the foundation for all the others, generosity.
Now hold on. When I say generosity, I'm not talking about what we usually think of, like dropping some coins in a donation box. In this tradition, it's called dana, and it's something way more intense. It's about a complete, radical letting go of attachment. Attachment to everything you consider yours, your stuff, the people you love, even your own body.
Which brings us to our first story from the sutra. It's a really powerful example of this idea. It's the story of a king, a dove, and a hawk.
So picture this. There's this king. His name is Sarvadatta, and he's known everywhere for his incredible compassion. One day, a terrified little dove just flies right to him, trying to escape a predator. And the king, being who he is, immediately tells the dove, "Don't worry, I've got you. I'll protect you."
Okay, but literally seconds later, a hawk swoops down and lands. And it has a demand. The hawk says, "That dove, that's my lunch. Give it back to me." And boom, just like that, the king is in this impossible situation. Right? If he saves the dove, the hawk starves. But if he feeds the hawk, he breaks his sacred promise to the dove. What do you do?
Well, the king doesn't hesitate. He refuses. He tells the hawk his promise is unbreakable. He offers the hawk anything else, any other food. But the hawk isn't interested. It has one very shocking demand. So here's the deal the hawk proposes. It says, look, if you're really so compassionate to all beings, then prove it. Cut a piece of your own flesh, the same weight as the dove, and give that to me instead. And the king, without even blinking, agrees.
So they bring out a scale. The king puts the dove on one side, and he starts to carve flesh from his own thigh, and places it on the other side. But then something weird happens. The more flesh he puts on the scale, the heavier the dove on the other side seems to get. It's like magic. He keeps carving and carving, until almost all the flesh is gone from his body, and the scale still won't balance. But he doesn't stop. He is fully prepared to die right there to keep his word.
I mean, wow, that is an absolutely incredible level of commitment. But believe it or not, the sutra pushes this idea of generosity even further. And that brings us to our next story, about a prince who, well, he gave everything away. And this story poses an even tougher question, if you can believe it. What if the ultimate price wasn't your own body, but the people you love more than anything? So meet Prince Sudana. First, he gives away his kingdom's most prized possession, a sacred white elephant that's supposed to guarantee victory in war. Naturally, his people aren't happy, and he and his family get exiled. Okay, then on their way out of the kingdom, he gives away their chariot and horses. Then it gets even more intense. They're living in the woods, and a poor man comes up and asks for his 2 children to be his servants, and the prince gives them to him. And if that wasn't enough, another person asks for his wife, and he agrees to that too.
Okay, I know what you're thinking right now. This is intense. It sounds extreme, maybe even cruel, and you're right. So it is absolutely crucial that we get to the why. Why are these stories in the text? Seriously, why would a spiritual guide be full of these impossible tales of sacrifice, giving away your flesh, giving away your kids? What on earth is the lesson supposed to be?
Well, the whole answer is wrapped up in one single concept: attachment. See, in Buddhist philosophy, the reason we suffer, the root of all of it, is because we cling to things. It's our attachment to stuff, to people, to our own ideas. But the big one, the most fundamental one, is our attachment to our own self, to our body, to our identity.
And once you get that, the stories suddenly make a different kind of sense. They are not literal instruction manuals. Nobody is saying you should go out and actually do these things. They're allegories. They're like extreme thought experiments. They're designed to paint a picture of what a mind would look like if it was completely, totally free from all attachment. A mind that has reached a state of true freedom.
So here's the big takeaway. This kind of radical generosity, it's not actually about the person receiving the gift. It's a kind of spiritual training. It's a tool you use to dismantle your own ego, to overcome your own clinging. The idea is that by letting go of all that stuff we're attached to, we can finally be free from suffering. And this is the key part, it's only from that state of freedom that you can genuinely and effectively help everyone else.
So, okay, these stories are ancient, they're extreme, but they're not just some historical curiosity. They're actually meant to make us look at our own lives, right here and now, and ask ourselves a very modern question.
So let's just forget about cutting off flesh or giving away your family for a second. The real question these stories are pushing us towards is this: what are you holding on to so tightly that it's keeping you from being free? What are the attachments in your life, to your things, to your opinions, to your idea of who you are, that are maybe causing you pain? And just for a second, what do you think it would feel like to just let go? Yeah, that's a good one to chew on. Thanks for joining me.